The reason you're watching this video right now is because you're struggling with EQ and vocals. By the time you are finished consuming this video, not watching, consuming, you will have crystal clear clarity whenever you need to EQ a vocal. So let's get straight into it. Lesson number 1, realize you are not stupid. EQing is unbelievably easy. All you're doing is simply raising the frequencies on the spectrum either up or down. That's it. It's just volume control. 4 frequencies. You want more bass, you turn up the lows. You want more treble, you turn up the highs. That's it. You understand this, you get this. You know how EQ works. So that's not actually the reason why you're lost. I'm gonna tell you the reason why you're lost. It's because you're watching too many YouTube videos. They're all giving you completely different advice. So of course you're confused. It's confusing, let's not lie. And don't blame yourself, because I also was confused. Blame the mixing and mastering community. However, the good part is, since you already know what EQ is, you don't have to relearn the whole concept. You just need to know how to apply it on whatever vocal you're working on. That's the key here, the application. I'm going to break down this application for you guys into categories so you can find which one is tailored to you and apply from there. Let's start with your room. The less acoustic treatment inside your room, the more EQ, subtractive EQ, you will need. Think about it. In a vocal booth, the mic is picking up vibrations from my voice, and that's it. If I'm recording in an untreated room, the mic is picking up vibrations from my voice, and in addition, every single echo or vibration off the wall is going into that microphone as well, which is unwanted. All of these unwanted echoes going into the mic, they build up and they usually manifest in the form of low mid energy. That's why we can have that boomy, muddy effect if our recording space isn't properly treated. This also gives you that boxy, harsh upper mid sound as well, because all the waves clashing together cause phasing issues, and it's just not an ideal thing. So it's always best to enhance your recording at the source. If worse comes to worse, put a duvet over your head, go into your closet and put a blanket over, whatever you gotta do to treat the space as best as you can. The second category is your mic, and your mic will affect your EQ massively, and if you're not doing this, you are missing out. Understanding your mic will completely change the way that you approach your EQ. EQ behaves differently for every single mic. So if you know your mic and you understand your mic, you already know what you can and what you can't do. So in general, there's 3 types of microphones that are commonly used. I'll start off with a dynamic microphone. In particular, I want to talk about the Shure SM7B. It's a really popular mid-range microphone, around £300. People from YouTubers, podcasters, artists, everyone uses them. If you have a Shure SM7B, start taking notes. You need to understand the frequency response of the mic. It is very, very warm and very, very dark. So if you're making commercial pop music or rap music or R&B music and you want that high-end shine that you find in a lot of these tracks, then a lot of the time, 90% of the time, you are going to find yourself wanting to make the mic brighter. On male vocals or on powerful up-close vocals, the low mids are going to be really energetic, really warm, really thick. So you're going to want to treat that as well by doing a lot of subtractive EQ. So if you have a Shure SM7B, don't be afraid to put some shine on the top end of the vocal, and watch your low mids carefully for any build up. The second microphone type I want to talk about is a low end or mid priced condenser microphone, and that would be something like an AT2020, a Rode NT1, basically any mic that's below £800, any mic that's kind of below like a Neumann, this would apply for. So the main difference between these high-end condensers and these mid-range condensers is the diaphragm they use. The microphone capsule is way more expensive, and this completely changes how the sound is converted from analog signal into digital signal. It's completely different. If you have a high-end mic like these guys on the tutorials you're watching, like your favorite mixers, then their microphones are capturing a lot more detail along the whole frequency range. These mixers that you're watching, these industry Grammy award winning mixers or whatever, they can boost 10 dB on the high end because their microphone actually can pick up all that detail of the high end. These lower end condensers, you can't really do that. It won't give you the same effect. Because these lower end condensers use cheaper diaphragms, it means that high-end detail is less accurate. So in order to make it sound more professional, more radio ready, to make it sound better from the start, what they do is they add a ton of fake high-end into the mic already. So if you have an NT1A or if you have an AT2020, all of these condenser mics, they have their high end already boosted and already exaggerated. But the difference between the high end in these cheap mics and the expensive mics is that high end isn't actually there. It's created, it's artificial. But with the Neumanns and the higher end mics, the air isn't boosted, it's actually there, if that makes sense. But what does this actually mean? The point of this is, if you're watching your favorite mixer boost 10 dB on the high end, and you go and try boost 10 dB on the high end, his mic is £2,000, your mic is £200. Do not expect the same result. If you're boosting this exaggerated high end, this fake high end in these cheaper condenser mics, that's what gives you that amateur sound. It doesn't sound professional. That's what makes your vocals sound brittle and harsh and sharp and irritating to the ear. It makes your ear tired. People are going to hear your song and they're going to turn it off because you're trying too much. So if you fall into the category of the upper end mics, I'm doing both of these mics in one just because it's just for the sake of explanation. So if you have these higher end mics like Neumanns or TLM 103 or anything on a higher range, then yeah, you can afford to be a bit more dramatic with your EQ. If you're on the lower end of the mic spectrum and you want to achieve a brighter vocal, a more exciting vocal, rather than boosting the highs like crazy, you can make your vocal brighter by just reducing the lows. So you're taking out the dark bits of your vocal to make it appear bright, rather than trying to push brightness out. It's going to sound natural and annoying. The final thing you want to consider is the artist, the singer, the rapper, the performer. Their voice and their tone is going to impact the way you EQ. And you use these in combination with the room, in combination with the mic they're using, and you use that to EQ. In these tutorials on YouTube, they're just going to tell you, yeah, every vocal is different. You need to use your ear and blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, if you don't know what you're looking for, that can be very tedious, especially when you're starting out. So use this blueprint, identify what mic you have, identify what room you have. If you can improve it, you better improve your room. But if you can't, then use that to consider reducing any low mids or boxy frequencies, honky frequencies. And finally, think about how those two factors work with the artist's voice. And even the instrumental, that's a bonus tip. If the instrumental is very dark, maybe you want to darken up the vocal too so it blends in and it feels like it's in the same space. Maybe you want to make the vocal brighter so there's contrast between the background and the vocal. Maybe you want to give that more attention. These are more creative choices. They're not absolute musts. But from today, if you start applying these 3 or 4 tips, 3 or 4 tips, if you apply them into your mixes today, game changer. Watch. I have been Tay, the savior of mixing. Stay tuned for weekly uploads.